I know exactly how it goes. You try and cover up your dark circles and somehow they just keep peeking through. Like no matter how much concealer you put on, somehow you can still see those dark circles. I know you might be thinking it's the product, but it actually may not be. It could just be your technique. So let me show you exactly what to do instead. As you can see, I've got a lot to work with today. My dark circles are in all their glory for you, so you know that I'm going to be a good example for you today. If you're new here, welcome back to my channel. I'm Nina. I'm a professional and celebrity makeup artist, and I've been doing this for roughly around 25 years. And today we're going to dive into the biggest issue that people seem to have covering their dark circles and making them look like they're just bright and natural and just no darkness there. It's probably the biggest frustration I always hear from people is dark circles that just can't get covered no matter what you do. And sometimes they actually look pretty good when you first put your makeup on, and then later on, like about an hour or so later, it starts to look a bit grey or a bit dark or just a bit off. So I totally get you. If you have any of those issues, this video is going to be perfect for you. Before we get into it, please don't forget to like my video, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell button, because those three things, although they don't cost you a thing, they really do help my channel out, and it just is a little bit of a thanks from you for me putting out these videos for you. I post every Monday, Thursday and Sunday, so you are always going to get good content from me. I want you to understand something about dark circles, because unless you know the reason we have them, it's going to be really hard for you to fix them. Some of the most common reasons that your dark circles are not staying covered could be because you are skipping color correction, and I'm not saying that everyone needs color correction, I'm just saying that it could be that you need it. There are several different things that the issue could be for you, and it's going to be different for every person. So it's really a case of me making you understand it as well, and then showing you exactly what you need to do. You could be applying the wrong shade of concealer. It could be too light for you. Yes, that can actually make them look like, well, not worse, but generally make them come through again. Or it could be that it's a little bit too dark or the wrong tone for you. It could be that your eye cream is just too rich and too kind of slippery around the area. This is why I always focus on telling people, you probably heard me a million times if you've watched this channel, like these videos so many times from me, is I always focus on saying go for a balmy texture with your eye cream. It could be that you're using the wrong texture based on your skin type, and it could be that you're over applying and just over layering and your technique is just not right. So do you see what I mean by, like, it could be various reasons, and really it's a case of narrowing it down and figuring out what it is for you. And obviously I'm not with you physically, but I can tell you every little thing about it so that you can go away and say, do you know what, it sounds like it's this actually. Or actually, do you know what, my eye cream isn't sounding the kind of texture how she's making out it should be, so it could be that. And every time you eradicate or just fix a situation that you feel that you've got wrong, then you're on your way to getting the perfect under eye area. So let's get into it. Here's what you need to know. Dark circles are not just about darkness on that area. There's tone, texture, and depth. It could be that you have a slight blue undertone. You have hollowness on the under eyes, which is in turn making the darkness look worse. It could be that the area here on you is a bit thinner than usual. So like your eye area, the skin around your eye area is the thinnest than anywhere else on your body anyway, right? But with some people, their skin is actually quite thin and supple, so it shows you what's underneath a bit easier. I'm trying to not like use any, not that I know a lot of complicated words, but I'm just trying to make it really easy for you to understand. I feel like prep is where a lot of people fail. So I'm showing you step by step so that you can figure out where it is that you're probably going wrong. Now, what I want you to pay attention to is not just the order in which I'm applying things, you've got to pay attention to the products that I'm using. And that doesn't mean that you have to go out and get the same products. It means that you have to think about the kind of texture that I'm using. So, okay, she's using, I don't know, the MAC Ceramizer Eye Treatment. Let me go away into not Harrods. Why did I say Harrods? Let me go away into the MAC store and have a feel of that eye cream, because you can always test it out in store, right? And let me have a look at what that feels like, because then I can compare it to what I've currently got. So there's always a way around it, you know? Everything I'm showing you is information that is really going to help you if you just put a little bit of work in and just make sure that you can do your bit to kind of really get your whole routine perfected. Like if your eye area isn't prepped in the correct way, no matter what concealer you use, it's just not going to do the best possible job it could do if you were to have a prepped area, like a correctly prepped area. Now what you want is a good eye cream. Now the eye cream that I'm currently using is the MAC Hyper Real Ceramizer Eye Treatment. It's a bright eye treatment, so it is brightening for the eye area. It has, let me tell you what it's formulated with: Japanese peony extract, vitamin C, niacinamide, and peptides. So it's a good eye cream. I personally really like it. I use it every day, daytime. My night cream is different. I use a Shiseido one. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a slightly more rich, rich eye cream, and that's perfect for nighttime because I'm not putting eye makeup on. This one is a really nice balmy texture. Another one that I would recommend is the Drunk Elephant Ceramite, which is like, I can't remember the full name, but I'll put it on the screen, or it will be in my description, but it has a balmy texture to it too, right? So even if you were to go away and try both of these on your hand, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's a really nice balmy texture. And when I say balm, I don't mean like a lip balm where it's like quite sticky or anything like that. It kind of hydrates the eye area, but it still has that, it's not overly like heavy or rich for your eye area. So that's number one, you want a good eye cream. Another thing you can use is eye patches, and I really like the Pixi Detoxify Eye Depuffing eye patches. It comes like this, and they're actually pretty cool. Like, you just put it on and leave it on for 10 minutes, and it slowly dries out because your skin's kind of sucking all the moisture out of it. Or if you want to just spend a little bit extra, go for the Dior eye patches, which I love. They're obviously really bougie, but you know, they are actually really good. And in 10 minutes, I feel like my eyes are a lot brighter, definitely a little bit kind of more lifted, like tighter, I would say. Lifted isn't the right word. Tighter. They definitely feel a bit tighter, which is good for me. And yes, if you want to spend a bit more money, go for that. But these are eye patches that I would also recommend. It's great for kind of depuffing and prepping your eyes, almost like a little mask. Like, we wear masks on the face, like you need to address your eye area in the same way. It's a very, very delicate area. Now, what if you have quite dry under eyes, right? Then in which case you do need an extra treatment, and I would suggest going for an eye serum so that you can use that before you use your eye cream. So something which isn't going to stay slippery, something that's really going to like let your skin soak it up. So when you apply it, leave it there, let your skin soak it up, and by the time it's soaked it up, probably 5 minutes or so, your skin should not feel like slippery and like fluid at all. It should just be dry. Then you put your balmy eye texture on. So you're giving it a little bit of extra hydration, the same way that we would do with our skin. If we've got dry skin, you use a hydrating serum before you put your moisturizer on. It's exactly the same thing for eye area. A really big tip, and something that is so important, is please do allow, when you're layering any kind of product on your skin, allow it to rest on your skin for at least a minute or so before you go in with your next layer. You will know how long you should wait and how long it takes your skin to soak up the product and let it settle down. If you just go in with all of your products, you're not allowing your skin to really prep and like correctly prep before you go in with the makeup. Okay, so let's talk about color correction, because it could be this that you're skipping that you need. Now, again, like I mentioned earlier, it doesn't mean that it is imperative that you color correct every time you do your under eyes. I don't personally color correct a lot of the time. I just go straight in with my concealer, but I have got that perfected, and that's why. Some people, because of the darkness, because of the hollowness, because of other factors, will need to use a color corrector before going in with their concealer, which is going to actually help deal with the darkness that keeps coming through that you're seeing, you know. So that's why I want to do this step, because I really want you to understand how this kind of like works and whether it's something that you need. I already have my eye cream on, by the way. That's all nicely prepped. I've let that kind of sit there while we've been talking, or while I've been talking. As I was saying, it could be that color correction is the thing that you need. If you are skipping this and it turns out actually that's the one missing piece of the puzzle that you need to be able to like correct this whole issue, it could be that you're basically asking your concealer to do too much for you. So if you are the kind of person that needs a color corrector, which you're not going to know until you try it and you test it out for the day, right? What's happening is you're skipping it, you're going in with your concealer, and you're expecting your concealer to kind of work overtime and do a lot more for you than actually what it can do for you. Because what it needs is a little bit of a helping hand from that color corrector for it to be able to do its job properly. So I want you to look at it like this, because a lot of people get confused with color corrector and concealer. Like, what is each doing? Is there, you know, do you have to use it? Now, the color corrector, I want you to look at it as something that cancels the color out, and the concealer is something that covers. So what we're trying to do with a color corrector first is cancel out that undertone that we've got there, which is kind of it could be different for each person based on your skin tone, but it could be that you have a bluish kind of dark circle, you have a greenish dark circle. For me, it's usually more kind of greenish. But if you have that issue, you want the color corrector to cancel out the color. It neutralizes that color that's already there. Then when you move into your concealer, it's covering the area up. So do you see what I mean when I'm talking about how if you skip the color corrector and it just so happens you actually need that step, then you're asking the concealer to do too much. You're asking it to cancel it out and cover it up. And with some people, it works. Like with me, it works. It's enough. But with some people, like I said, it could be that you do need a color corrector. Now, how do you know if this is something that you need to be doing? The main thing is, honestly, you need to try it and see if it's something that works for you, and that's going to give you the best indication as to whether it's something you should be doing. Just to give you a bit of a push in the right direction, if you have kind of any blue or green undertone under your eye which is quite strong, it could be you need a color corrector. Like I mentioned to you, mine is mainly green, but mine is mainly green because I have prominent veins here, right? And they kind of stick out a little bit, and that's what does it for me. But once I've got my concealer on, it actually works pretty okay. But that could have a lot to do with the fact that my tone and texture is right for just a concealer. Next is if you find that when you're wearing concealer, it ends up looking dull or ashy, it could be you need a color corrector. If you feel like over the years, as you've aged, your eyes on that area have lost a lot of volume and it's becoming more hollow, it could be that a color corrector could be the answer for you. Let me talk about my go-to color correctors, some that I actually really love. Number one is the Huda Beauty Faux Filter Corrector. Now the shade, I'm only going to talk about the shades that I personally use. They have other shades obviously, so you need to match it accordingly. My shade is lychee with this one, and the reason I like this one is because it is quite fluid but creamy, and the pigment is really good. Now the next one that I really love, and this is probably one of my favorites, is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Vanish in 310. I love this because I love the fact it's this little compact, and I love how it is a very opaque color corrector. So you warm it up and it really stays put. It's not too fluid. You kind of pat it on and you're done with it. I actually quite like color correctors not to be so fluid so it doesn't slip around. The next one that I think is probably a bit more affordable but very good is the Sephora Best Skin Ever Color Corrector in 04. This is a really good one, and I really do like the sponge tip applicator on here. I'm not usually a fan of sponge tip, but this is actually a really good quality one. That's more of a creamy kind of texture to that. The other one that I think is pretty good is the Kosas Revealer Extra Bright, and this is in Alchemy. Now this is a little bit more fluid. It is still creamy, but the pigment's good. All four of these color correctors I would say are very good quality, and they do give you really good texture and really good pigment like payoff. Now you only need to apply this where you have the discoloration. You don't need to apply it anywhere else. So now what we're going to do is apply our color corrector. Now the color corrector I'm going to go for is the Charlotte Tilbury Vanish. I just really like that one. Okay, let me show you how I use this. So now you can see my color corrector, you can see my dark circles here, right? I'm generally a bit darker around the whole eye area, but I do feel like I don't really need it so much on the eyelid. It is more around this area, and I have a little groove there, so a little tiny bit of hollowness there, but it's not so bad, but it is like a little groove. You can see where all of a sudden that darkness is there, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into this color corrector here. I'm going to just warm this up on the back of my hand. You really don't need a lot of this. I'm going to just pat this on to the dark area. Now you don't want too much. You don't want it to be like a thick layer, because what you're trying to do is almost like tint the area. So such a thin layer that it just tints it. That's it. Let's do the same thing here. So it's just where you struggle with the darkness. What this is doing is just cancelling out that colour that you have underneath. So next up, we're going to go in with the concealer. Now this here, what we've applied, we want that to settle down and dry down. Don't go straight in with your concealer. You want this to really settle down and dry onto the skin. I would say you need to leave a longer gap if you're using a liquid like any of the others that I mentioned. You'd need to leave more of a gap. This one, what I really like about this one, like the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Vanish, is that because it's so opaque, it dries pretty quick. So it warms up with your finger, with your body heat, and and then you just pat it on and it kind of just does dry down. It's not a liquid, so you don't have to wait for it to dry. Now this is where most people go wrong. They slather on a whole load of concealer and hope for the best and just think the more that they apply, the more it's going to cover up, which isn't actually the case. What's happening is the more that you apply, you are actually ending up probably going to make it more ashy, but also it's going to look cakey, it's going to look heavy, it's going to actually end up enhancing other issues that you had, like fine lines, wrinkles, and it's just not going to look good. Now what you want to do is choose the right shade concealer first. You need to think about what it is you're trying to do here. If you are trying to use a concealer just to kind of cover up a little bit and you don't really suffer from very dark circles and you don't want your under eye to be so bright, then you want to go for a concealer which is more or less the same color as your skin tone. That isn't going to brighten anything for you though, because it is so close to your skin tone. If you do want something to brighten the under eye up a little bit or cover the dark circles, you do want to go for a concealer which is a little brighter than your skin tone, so maybe half a shade lighter. Now I personally would recommend, as a makeup artist who's done this countless times, we mix a lot of products together. And I know it's a bit annoying maybe for you, but honestly, if you get one concealer which is the same color as your skin tone and then one which is maybe a shade brighter, you can always mix them together and get the perfect shade. So it doesn't mean you're always going to do that because your skin tone changes throughout the year. It just means that you will adjust it accordingly as and when you need it based on your skin tone at that specific time. Now the concealer that I like to use is my Tarte Shape Tape 35N Medium. This is a brighter concealer for me. It's probably around a shade brighter, probably about a shade brighter than what I need. The color that is close to my skin tone is actually the 38N Medium Tan Neutral. That color is very close to my skin tone, and sometimes I mix it in with this one, but 35N Medium is my go-to for brightness, and it really does help to brighten up the area for me. Now what I want you to do is we're going to do a dash placement. This isn't about covering the entire under eye area, this is dash placement. So this is just doing a few dashes here and there. So let me just do one side first so that you can really understand what I'm doing. We're only going to work on this under eye area here so that you can really see how it completely covers it. I feel like it gives you a good indication as to what you've actually managed to do when everything else is kind of blank. Now what we're going to do is do a little dash just there, right there. See that? This is the inner corner of the underside of the eye where the darkness is mainly sitting. That is actually where most of the darkness is for me. Now we're also going to do a little dash here, and that's just going to lift the eye a little bit. By lifting the eye, you're also taking the attention away from the darkness. You're not focusing just on that area. So lifting isn't just something we do because we want a lift. It does also help to distract you from the issue that's going on the center of the face. So by working on things on like the perimeter of the face and trying to lift areas, it's not just because we all want a facelift. It's not just because we want everything to look youthful. There is another reason for it. It's just a very clever way of kind of distracting someone from the issue at hand. Now what we're going to do now is let this sit for a little while. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get our beauty blender. I'm going to spray it with this setting spray, which is the Charlotte Tilbury one. Now this is going to be a little bit damp, and we've let this sit for a little while. Now what we're going to do is bounce this sponge over the area. We're not ever dragging. We are just bouncing on top. And you're going to see how this small amount really does brighten the whole under eye area. And it's pretty amazing how we managed to do that with such a small amount. See that? See how that has brightened the whole area? And later on in the day, nothing's going to come through. So you're not going to have any darkness because we've got that color corrector underneath, which is basically cancelling out the darkness. All of a sudden, the rest of the face doesn't look so bad, right? And I feel like this is something that we don't realize. The skin can sometimes play tricks on you. Shadows play tricks on you. And what happens is you're seeing something like a dark circle and it makes everything else look pretty bad. You're kind of thinking, well, the whole lot, I'm going to need to cover everything. But actually, when you deal with the issue at hand, you realize that actually it's not so bad everywhere else. That was just making everything look bad. So I really would urge you to try and focus on sorting this area out first before you start slapping on the makeup everywhere else. You 100% want to avoid this whole triangle concealer look. It's not going to do anything for you, especially if you are going into your 40s as well. It's just going to like be completely detrimental to your skin and how it looks. If you're finding this helpful so far, please do hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and hit bell. It really does help this channel out. By the way, if you love beauty, makeup, and you also like a little bit of fashion thrown in here and there, then head over to my other YouTube channel, NINAUBHIQM Beauty and Fashion Reviews. I go through launches, I go through new products. Sometimes they're just beauty videos, sometimes it's mixed with a little bit of fashion, but you're gonna love it over there. So head on over. It's a bit more kind of like, more of a like quick and fun, casual channel for you, and this is where you're really going to learn the educational stuff. You're going to see a lot of product releases over there too. So let's go ahead and do this on the other side. Again, little dash here, and then the lift. So the dash is working on the actual darkness. Spray that once because it's already kind of sprayed from earlier. Let that sit there for a little bit. The dash there is working on the area that is the darkest, and then this is the lift, and it's also going to help that hand in hand. While that's sitting there kind of resting, hopefully you can really see like how much of a difference that really does make. Like I have a little bit of kind of bruising here from my, I had my salmon DNA the other day, and it leaves some bruising because it kind of does hurt, to be completely honest with you. But the results are amazing, so I can just deal with it. I really wanted you to understand how this works. Like, I just feel like sometimes we think so much about what else is going on the face that we forget that actually by sorting one issue out, it could actually help everything else. And that's why I really just wanted to focus on the under eye area and the dark circles today, and not kind of confuse you with adding in a whole load of other stuff like, oh, let's do my foundation first and then we'll move into the dark circles. So I want to show you raw, like exactly how you get them covered without relying on anything else. Now imagine when we do apply foundation everything, then everything's going to look a bit better. But if you deal with this issue first, it's going to be much better for you. So let's go in and now start bouncing the sponge. The sponge is never dragged anywhere. It's never dragging anywhere on the under eye area. It's just always just bouncing over the skin. So it's also not disturbing the color corrector that we applied. What I want you to imagine is when you have anything on your skin and you're about to apply something on top, you always want to make sure that you kind of bounce. So for example, you are basically like that. That's what I'm doing to my skin, that. And then as I'm moving to other places, that's how I'm moving to other places, like that, right? I'm not kind of like dragging like that. Now let's talk about the next step, which is locking everything in. This is where creasing happens if you're not careful. So this is also so important. Now you want to use a very microfine powder for this, something like the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder, but the ultra blur version is very good. I personally don't like the OG, the iconic cult favorite. I prefer the ultra blur. You want to get a tiny fluff brush, not a tiny fluff brush, but like a medium-sized fluff brush. So I would always recommend this one. If you've been around on this channel since the beginning, you know this has been with me forever. I have so many of these as backup. I've had this for years and years and years. This is the Real Techniques setting brush. The links are in my description, so you can head over and grab the exact products that I've been using today on that. But this is an amazing brush and it fits perfectly on the under eye area. Now you're also going to need a powder puff. Potentially. This is my Makeup by Mario Master Pro Puff. Let me explain what I mean by potentially. If you don't deal with a lot of fine lines and wrinkles around the eye area, then you can use the powder puff in addition to like the setting brush that we're using. But if you do deal with a lot of dryness, you have mature skin, you deal with a lot of, like generally a lot of fine lines and wrinkles around the eye area, don't use the powder puff, just use the brush. And I'll explain as I go along how you would do it. I do not believe in baking, so there's no baking going on any of my videos. I really do not like the technique, and I feel like it does make you look aged on the under eye area. I do like the pressing of the powder into the skin, but letting it sit there is unnecessary for me. If anything, I think it makes everything look worse. I don't think it personally does anything other than make you look older, to be honest, and cakey. Now this is optional. You have the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. This is just optional to have. And I'll explain where that fits in on this locking process. Now, I want to explain to you that when you have applied all of this, we've had some facial expressions, and what happens is the product sits in the creases. It's inevitable, it's going to happen, right? Before you set. So what you want to do is make sure you use the tip of your sponge, right? The pointy part with nothing on it. The tip of it, and make sure it's like not too wet either. Make sure it's more dry than anything. The tip of it is going to be used to actually just lift out the product that's sitting in the lines. Now, if you don't do this before you lock it in, before you lock in your concealer on the under eye area, if you don't do this, you're ending up locking in the creases. So it's just going to look worse. So what you want to do is get everything smooth. So lift out any product that's sitting in the creasing and then lock it in so that you don't have the excess product there. So if anything, I think it's actually good to allow that little bit of a gap there after you've applied your concealer until you set everything, because you're allowing the product to build up in the creases, right? It's unnecessary product that you have there. So what you're doing is allowing it to crease. Then you're going to lift it all out and then you're going to set it. If I was to just apply the concealer and very quickly put the powder and I think, oh, well, I've not allowed any time for anything to crease there, so I don't need to wait. Well, you've probably got a bit more concealer that you don't actually need there. That's why I would always recommend allowing it to sit, allow it to crease a little bit, take out the excess product that you don't need, and then go ahead and lock it in. Okay, so let's take out the product. I know that my under eye area has a lot of creasing, like very close to my lash line, so I'm just literally pressing and flicking up, not down or sideways. Okay, now if I am someone who deals with a lot of wrinkles and stuff like that, I'm going to take this brush, I'm going to dip into the powder, and I'm going to basically press it. Actually, I can do one eye different to the other. So I'm going to press this in. So I've just got the product on the brush, and I'm looking up and I'm pressing. I'm never dragging, I'm just pressing. There you go. The next eye, this is if you don't deal with a lot of like fine lines, wrinkles, and you don't have mature skin, then you're going to get your powder puff. You're going to press into this powder. You are just going to make sure there's not a whole load on it, so just pat it on the back of your hand first. Oh, nearly forgot to take the creases out. Get rid of the creasing. There you go. And then press. We've pressed it on, we've not dragged it. Then you're going to get this brush and you're going to dust away the powder. Two different ways of locking in your under eye makeup based on what your preference is. Okay, so let's recap everything, right? Because I want you to really understand this so that you've got the full idea in your head, and also save this video because that way you can kind of make sure that you watch it back and then follow it bit by bit. So prep with the right eye cream. Color correct, but only where needed. Apply your concealer in the correct places in the correct way and with the right amount. Don't be heavy-handed with it. Your blending with the sponge is going to be bouncing or like tapping, whatever you want to call it, but it's never dragging. Then you are going to set strategically with a little bit of powder. It's not about using more, it's about using what you have in the right way. Don't forget, I do post every Monday, Thursday, and Sunday, and Thursday's video is going to be all about color correctors. The best color correctors and how to use all of them. So can we see what this looks like underneath? All of a sudden, the rest of the face actually doesn't look so bad. And obviously for the eye area, I think all I would need is a little bit of concealer. Like for example, if I just take whatever's already on this sponge, it would probably be enough to kind of cancel out, or not cancel out, but just cover up any darkness that I have there. Do you see what I mean? Like it's such a small amount that you actually need, and I feel like we just get a bit consumed with not focusing on one area at a time. We end up just looking at something and we just look and we're like, dark circles look horrendous, it makes everything look horrendous, so we're gonna have to deal with everything. But really, you just need to deal with that one issue at hand for everything else to look a little bit better. Now, if you want all of this beauty knowledge delivered directly to your inbox, then subscribe to the Beauty Breakfast Club, which is my online magazine, and you have lots of beauty reviews, tips and tricks coming out there. Every other day there's a new newsletter. So subscribe to that. And if you subscribe to the paid version, which gives you access to the entire site, then that actually gives you access to the group chat, and you really want to be in that group chat, which I'm in as well. It's really fun. And that costs you literally the same as getting yourself one coffee every month. It's just a little way for, you know, for you to give back, because I put all this content out for you and I don't ask you for anything, but that little bit of support will really help this channel out. So that's it for today's video. I really hope you've enjoyed it and it's been informative and educational for you. And I hope you finally now figured out why your dark circles weren't getting covered. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about today's video. I'll see you again on Thursday when we take a deep dive into color correctors. And if you are interested in some of the best concealers for dark circles, then head over to my other channel where I go through all of them for you. I can't wait until the next video, so I'll see you then.